I was approaching the question of mafia television from the perspective of production culture studies. Essentially, production culture studies is a strand of media studies that interrogates, and I'm quoting Meyer, Banks, and Caldwell, the book at the center, how media producers make culture and in the process make themselves into particular kinds of workers in modern mediated society. As a field, production culture studies is interested with issues of obviously cultural production, industry, labor, organization, and subjectivity. As a methodology, production culture studies blends cultural studies, textual and historical analysis, sociology of work, and political economy with a strong ethnographic component. From my perspective, production studies have helped me foreground a series of exchanges and conflicts and negotiations that takes place in the making of mafia television. Moreover, even if through production culture studies I could grasp what John Caldwell calls the indigenous interpretative framework of local production culture, the problem of the limited creative involvement of the locals didn't allow me to put that interpretive framework at work to make it operational, so to say. Therefore, the incoming dead end that I fear. In my case, I was interested in three things: the interactions between the Romans and the locals, the investments of the locals in mafia television, and the response of the local community. This last aspect, the response of the local community, was the least clear to me, but I had a vague sense that in order to understand the indigenous interpretative framework, I couldn't leave the local community out of the picture. This because, among other reasons that make the local community a very interesting actor in this process, the local community hates mafia television, like deeply. So I thought that making visible this conflict would have helped me frame better the contested terrain in which the local workforce operates. So I decided to take off into the journey from the only moment I could think of in which the local workforce and the local community come into contact. That is the extras casting. I attended the two-day casting and assisted the casting director in dealing with 1,000 people, while interviewing informally or sometimes just chit-chatting with a bunch of aspiring actors. In that occasion, I discovered the existence of a category of extras known as the regular, quasi-professional actors gravitating around the industry, yet unable to make a living out of it, who often, actually all the time, are active in mafia TV shows. A revealing moment was listening very, very passionately to one of these regulars listing with a weird mix of dignity and shame the dozen of ways he has died on screen since 1989, in which essentially I work my way through two notions of authenticity. One is a semiotic notion of authenticity, which has to do with the architecture of the text and with the kind of properties that are static, referential, that belong to the architecture of the text. And for that kind of authenticity, it's legitimate to talk about realism. And then next to this, I work on an anthropological notion of authenticity, through which I mean to a more like dynamic, transformative, and context-specific cultural practices that are concerned with the social implication of making meaning. And this, through an anthropological notion of authenticity, I actually managed to bring to the fore this contested space in which all the actors involved not only bring different perspectives to questions of authenticity, but also modulate constantly according to the needs and priorities of the production process. From this perspective too, I could also see the affective, ethical, and political implications of the pursuit of authenticity that inform the production.